What it do, fam? It's your boy TAXIPNG, and yes, I just finished eating some Chipotle. Don't do too much, all right? And yeah, I got some Starbucks over here too. Sorry about that. But so today we're talking about lighting and posing. So this video that you guys are watching right now, I'm gonna be going over a little bit of posing, going over a little bit of lighting. I had my lav mic on and I was like talking through it, but I feel like this is more personal, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I can tell you guys a lot more and, you know, talk to you while also showing you what I was doing at the same exact time. So I was using my Godox V1 flash, and I was thinking about using it, but I decided to not use it because there was a lot of ambient light coming from the atmosphere that I was already in. So for a lot of you guys who don't know what ambient light is, basically ambient light is the light that's in the setting that you enter yourself into. So if you enter yourself into an arcade, the lighting that's coming from the arcade games, the lighting that's coming from outside, maybe the windows, all of that is in the setting that you have inserted yourself into, your model into, your client into, and overall your camera into, LOL, is the ambient light, okay? And the ambient light is so important because you need to know how to use this ambient light. So today we're gonna be shooting with some ambient light in the arcade, showing you guys a little bit of different techniques that I like to use when shooting in ambient light, different settings and different things like that. So let's get to it. What it do, fam? If you're new here, my name is Taxi. I'm a hybrid photographer and videographer based out of Orlando, Florida, man, and I create a lot of cool content, okay? So I am documenting myself on my journey of finding my purpose as a creative, and I feel like this can help, you know, inspire you and entertain you at the same time, maybe even, and educate you along the way to finding yourself, finding your purpose, and following all of your dreams, essentially. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and drop a subscribe, go ahead and drop a follow and a comment and a like, and join the community, join the family, man. I would love to have you guys here. So to be specific, I was using the Sony a7S III. I was using it to film the entire thing that you guys saw, the entire sequence from the beginning to the end of the video, the recap and her shopping and all of that as well. I have it rigged up right now because I'm gonna be shooting a music video later today, but this is my Sony a7S III and I also use it for photos, right? So my settings that I had my ISO at 100, kind of playing around with that, just seeing how much light I can suck into my sensor while having my F at 2.8, right? So my F was 2.8, my ISO was 100, and I had my shutter at 250. This ended up being too low for me, and I had to kind of go down a little bit more on my shutter. So I pushed my shutter down to 100, and then I also left my aperture at f2.8. I had a bloom filter onto my lens, right? So I'm gonna show you guys what a bloom filter is. The bloom, well, not necessarily a bloom filter. It's like a more like a mist filter, and it comes from H&Y Photography, right? So this is it right here, if you guys can see, right? And I'm gonna show you guys exactly kind of what it does. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but there's like little specks on this glass. I scuffed it up a little bit, but there's little specks on this glass right here that brightens the highlights, that boosts the colors, that ups the saturation and stuff like that, like just by scattering the light that's in the scene. So the ambient light, it will take the light that you're shooting with and it will scatter it around, okay? So I'm using this filter in here, so if you guys see the highlights in these photos that are taken look very like bloomy, and like her skin looks creamy smooth and stuff like that, that's all coming from this mist filter right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and link that down below. As always, all of my gear that I use is on my Amazon storefront, so you guys can go ahead and check out the Amazon storefront and see everything that's on there that I use daily, okay? So this will be in my EDC, my everyday carry, because it quite literally stays on my camera. Even when I'm about to go shoot an entire music video, I'm putting that bloom on there because it adds that extra halation, right? So if you guys don't know what halation is like, if you're looking at regular light, it kind of brightens that light and boosts it a little bit and makes it a little bit more like, ooh, like, think for example, if you're editing a photo in Lightroom, right, and then you go ahead and scale that photo down on the clarity, you scale the clarity down instead of clearing it up, how it makes it look a little more dreamy. That's kind of the type of vibe that it kind of gives, like more dreamy, more film-esque, okay? When shooting photos, I love to use my surroundings, right? So for example, using the foreground, using the middle ground and background. If you guys don't already know what this is, a foreground is For example, this lens right here is in the foreground, I am in the middle ground, and this wall behind me is background. So I'll always use something close to the lens, have my subject in the middle, so I'm gonna sandwich them in between. So that background and that foreground sandwiches the subject in the middle, which is middle ground. So I always have my subject like that. Sometimes when I wanna use, maybe like here for instance, I was using the arcade game for my foreground, and then for the background it was all the other lights and stuff like that in the back, maybe even people, just to give that lifestyle vibe. And the foreground was a little arcade game forward, and then her in the middle. So like I kind of like just kept sandwiching it and kind of kept playing around with it as I kept shooting. So as you can see in some photos like this is showing an example of foreground, middle ground, and background. I'm always using my surroundings wherever I'm at. I try to, you know, change locations frequently to give them a lot of different ideas and different vibes. And I recently watched this video from Peter McKinnon, and he was speaking on behalf of making the photo versus taking the photo. So basically taking all of the time to do the pre-production needed to create an amazing image, right? Prior to, well, rather than just, you know, taking pictures and boom, 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 boom. Like usually that's what I would do. I would burn my shutter out. I would foul, getting all these amazing photos that I felt like were great images, and having only 50 out of 2,000 that they would choose from. And now I'm running up my storage. I got so many different images on my cards. I'm making such a big client gallery for them to choose from, and they only have 50 or 30 or 10 great photos, but we took 2,000. So that's not a good ratio. It's like a what? That's like 100 to 1, but it's not a great ratio at all. So this photo shoot in particular, I took my time and I really took just 50 photos, and I want every single one of those photos to be an amazing photo, right? So during the entire time, I'm talking to my model throughout, I'm talking to my client throughout, I'm allowing them to know that they're doing something correct or they're doing something wrong. You don't want to just have them there trying to figure it out themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like they hired you for a reason, you know what I mean? Or they're deciding to shoot with you for a reason because they feel like you know what you're doing, okay? And even if you ask them to shoot, they feel like you know enough of what you're doing to be able to guide them, because that's really what they need. If you were on the other side of the camera, what are some things that you yourself would want in order to have a better photo shoot? You know what I mean? You would want somebody to speak to you, 1. You would want some direction, 2. You would want to feel comfortable, 3. Those are the main things right there. You want somebody to guide you, 4. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Those are the main things that they want, is for someone to guide them and help them, make them feel like they're doing something correct. So in this spot right here in particular, I had her sit down in front of the arcade games. I was actually, like, you know, pondering around trying to find out where the best light was coming from, and we found this one right here, and it had the light kind of coming from the top, kind of coming from the back, but it also had a lot of background games, and it was a really great shot. I just felt like, man, it would be good to get some close-ups. It would be good to get some far aways, to get some compression. You know what I mean? So I would back up to get that extra compression. I would zoom in to 20 millimeters, and I would take my shot, and it would come out looking so creamy good because I still left it at 2.8. The entire time I'm running 2.8, my aperture was doing it, man. So I had turned her around. I was shooting the opposite way because a lot of light was coming from the other way, but I wanted her to be backlit with color. So I compensated for that with my ISO going down a little bit, trying to focus on her face and all of the features while having the background, you know, lit up nice, bright, and creamy. You know what I'm saying? So I really think that was really good. And this bloom filter helped me out a lot because it allowed, you know, for the skin to look nice and creamy, the lights to bloom out and halate, and it really created a overall great feel to the entire shoot. It made it all feel like it came together. I didn't take all the time trying to just shoot. I really sat there and I was very particular with the shots that I was taking, and I feel like that is what made it come out so good. A big thing for me in particular is angles. I try to get every angle possible. Try to get high angles, try to get low angles, try to get medium angles. I try to get angles that they don't think of, because my whole goal as a photographer is to help you see yourself in a different light. So the best way to do that is to give you angles that you never saw yourself from. Somebody take a picture of you from your left side and you think that your left side is not your good side, but your right side is your good side. But they took a picture from your left side and you actually like that picture. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute, I've never seen myself in that light. I've never seen myself from that angle. Maybe they never seen themselves like this. They never seen themselves like that. They never seen themselves from the back. They don't know what the back of their head looks like sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It's just different stuff like that, helping them be able to see themselves in a different light. That's my entire goal here as a photographer. So if I can do that, I'm going to keep doing it as many times as I can. And the best way to do that is with angles, being very versatile with your angles and being very intentional with all of your shots, okay? And that's all from me, guys. As always, don't forget to share this with a photographer, videographer, or a model that may find the information in this particular video as helpful. Until next time, taxi!